Good morning. Good morning, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? I am fine. Um, Still hot out here in Michigan. We got a very bad rainstorm last night, but it's still hot out. Anyway, talked to my friends in Ukraine, and I have a friend in Odessa, and she just says it's just bombing every night. So I told her to stay safe, as like she has a choice, but um, it's really a shame because there's really no reason for it. Putin would have ended the war 2 years ago. The U.S. version of the war is we sell weapons because they are Keynesians and they think if we sell weapons, we'll get out of the recession. And we won't have inflation anymore, or I mean, they're so stupid. It's great to sell products, but that doesn't get you out of a recession. And when you inflate your money supply as bad as they have, and the petrodollar reversed and the FX, everybody's getting out of it. And I don't like the word de-dollarization. What it is basically people just choosing, instead of apples, they're buying oranges. I mean, that's all it is. So basically, you got to understand that if somebody chooses another handicapper than me or listens to Peter Schiff instead of me, it's not. It's just competition. They like him better than me, or whatever, or whoever you listen to instead of me, and that's fine. That's why I try to listen to Egon and Mark McGuire, but it's a choice. It's a competition, right? Who do you want to listen to? Or, as I said in my Canadian Club, do you want to buy Jack Daniels or Canadian Club or Doers? They're all a little different, but it's choice. It's competition. So the U.S. can't handle the fact that people are going to gold-backed currencies, and BRICS is there, and BRICS doesn't want to use the dollar. Well, why don't we? Because you're sitting there and you're tariffing everybody, so you drive up the cost. It's a simple thing. You're driving the cost up. So if this is $100 a bottle and Jack Daniels is $50 a bottle, I'm gonna probably drink the Jack Daniels, even if I like Canadian Club or I don't. At the end of the day, it's whiskey, and at the end of the day, whatever's cheaper, I'm gonna buy it as long as it's competitive. And that's the point. So if the U.S. is driving the price up on all the goods that China sells and all these other countries sell, they're going to go somewhere else. They're going to, you know what? I'm not going to sell to the U.S. I'll sell to Japan, and I'll sell to China and Russia and all these other countries, Brazil. They all have population. They all have people who buy. We're a very small part of the world. We're 355 million. China is about 800 million. Russia's a lot. India is probably close to 1 billion. There's a lot more people outside. Now, can they afford it? Just because there's a number of people, it's how many people can have money. That's really the key. That's why you can never sell to China before, because they didn't have any money. There was a lot of people. They're all broke. Now they have a little bit more money, although the government keeps stealing from them. But that's really what you're looking at and trying to ascertain. So they're not really de-dollarizing. They're just choosing BRICS because it's safer, it's cheaper, it's not tariffed. So you're creating this. China makes all the goods. Don't forget that. So if Brazil and Russia and India want to buy from China, or Saudi Arabia and Dubai, they all want to buy from China. That should be their right. Why should they? Brazil president said, well, why should I pay to use the dollar? So in other words, the way it works is China wanted to buy something from Switzerland. They had to buy dollars and then sell the dollars to Switzerland. Why? Does that make any sense to anybody? So that was the problem before. And they all said, screw this. And comes alive, and BRICS says, you know what? We're gonna just trade our dollars amongst each other. So it's your dollar is based on how much gold you have. And so if you have a lot of gold, your dollar's worth more. If you don't have a lot of gold, your dollar's worth less, but you're really trading in gold-backed currency. So that's why Indian currency is broke, right? So is China. So is Brazil. All these currencies are broke. Like this, the euro is broke, right? This has no value. However, if it's backed by gold, then it has a value. So if the euro started using gold and backing it, then as much gold as they had would be the value of this versus how much gold China has, 70,000 tons, or Russia with 20,000 tons, and India with 30,000 tons. So their dollar is worth more, only gold backed, not their other bullshit dollars not worth anything. Like here, this isn't worth anything. If I was in Europe now, I wouldn't be able to get a coffee with it, right? It wouldn't. $5 doesn't buys you maybe a stick of chewing gum or something. Or I don't even think it buys you a cookie. I remember I was at one of these fairs in where was it? Barcelona. One of these markets. Let me show you. It's kind of cool what they have there. And they have these. I guess people go shopping, go buying stuff there. So like you go to this marketplace, right? And they sell all this stuff. This was cool. So I went to get, I think these are nuts and chocolate. So I just went to get, I figured I'll get 3 balls of chocolate. It was like 10 euros for like 3 balls of chocolate. I couldn't believe it. I think there's some chocolate there. Looks like maybe cheese, nuts. But so they have all these there. I think that's what I got, these chocolate balls. They were tasty, but they were expensive. I'm figuring, oh, the cherries. I was gonna get cherries, right? And I don't know what it means. It was because it's not $4.99 a pound like it is here. It's something. So I grabbed some cherries and I said, okay, it was $75. I told them to keep it. $75 for a little bag of cherries. You got to be kidding. But that's how bad the euro is. That was in Spain and Barcelona, and using the euro, I was not going to spend $75 on a handful of cherries. I like cherries, but not that much. So that's where the dollars are worthless. So this whole de-dollarization thing that nobody wants the dollar. Well, first of all, Trump, you've made it worthless. You've tariffed it, so it buys less, and things are more expensive. Well, anytime things are more expensive, people are going to run to the cheaper thing. I mean, I can go to my grocery store where I get the meat, and the meat's reasonable, but everything else is not reasonable in the store. So I just go in for chicken and meat, some steaks or hamburgers, and then I leave. And that's it. And now lately I've been buying grass-fed hamburger. I don't even get my hamburger there. I just get chicken or steak or ribs or something like that, which are reasonably priced. But tuna fish is $2 more, and my Ken's dressing, unless it's on sale, is a couple dollars more, and everything's more expensive there, except for my olive oil. That seems to be cheaper there. So there's a few items that are cheaper that I can sniff out, but you don't buy the bulk of your shopping there because strawberries are $6 a pound. Well, I'll probably go to Meijer's and get my strawberries then, because I don't see a difference in strawberries versus strawberries, right? So that's where the de-dollarization is, and that's where BRICS is. So most of the money is worthless. So everybody's buying gold, and that's why we buy gold. Hey, David, how are you today? So anyway, if you've ever been to Barcelona, Luke, I'm sure you remember this. I mean, look at all the little sections. This is chocolate too. Yeah, these chocolate balls. It was probably the same counter. And then you get to this counter. I don't even know what these are, but they were colorful. So I don't know if it was a drink. It might have been a drink. Then you have this, which are also colorful, and I don't know what they are. Then you have this. It was a huge market. Then you have this, which are whatever Seeps Extra are. Um, these are colorful. I would rank based on color. Zumos 250. I think it was like juice. Here's the whole meat. And I loved how they hooked the foot up. So you can see the foot is hooked. Here's the hoof. And then there's I think this was a pig. I don't think they had a lot of cows there in Barcelona. And then you could buy it, but being on vacation, you can't. Here's chicken. They're just selling the whole chickens. So I imagine people, instead of going to the grocery store, come here and buy. I mean, there's probably 100 vendors, and that piece of meat looks pretty good, nice and red, juicy. And this was I think the Mediterranean. This is I'll show you the restaurant I ate at. This is their I think at a grocery store, it might have been there. You can see they have starfish. People actually eat starfish. There's some salmon, and then there's whatever these fish are. And then here was another. They put these big fish. They just put the fish out. We don't do that. I don't know what those are. Uh, you can see they just lay the fish out. Where was my restaurant? Maybe it's farther down. So then in Barcelona, you pick up there's a Van Gogh museum down by the beach. Nice museum. And so I took a picture of this is everything on his wall. So you see these on my thumbnails, depending on my mood, if I want to show the water or I want to show Picasso's. And there's the old man. Pablo. He wasn't there. I didn't meet him. I think he's dead anyway. And then there's some more of the market you can see. But there was a restaurant I wanted to show you. Where is it? I know I've seen it. When I want to use thumbnails, I think about using it. It's always at the bottom, right? Oh, I must have missed it. I know I have it. Where the hell did it go? Anyway, did you see Ryan Sandberg passed away? Did you think he was good? Yeah, I liked Ryan Sandberg, second baseman for the Cubs. Uh, I see a lot of celebrities passing away. Um, here's Hulk Hogan. And now you're saying it was from a neck operation, and you wonder Was that real or not? Ryan Sandberg, now he was a little bit older, but he wasn't that old. That's surprising. Yeah, a lot of people are dying. A lot of it's the food problems. And I have a good thing on diabetes today. I'm going to show you about 5 minutes from our good doctor. And basically what he's saying, it's kind of you're adapting to it. So he says if you keep eating sugar and fat and carbs, your body gets used to it. And to get away from it, do what I did, you have to stop eating the sugar and the carbs and the fat. And then your body adjusts. Your body's very good at adjusting. So he says, you're eating sugar, you're eating your Fruit Loops, you're eating your Oreo cookies, you're eating your ice cream, you're drinking your pop, and you're getting diabetes. And the biggest sign is you got a big fat stomach, you're overweight, you're very tired, you're peeing a lot, and you're hungry a lot. And the way to cure it, and it's very curable, is to get off of that stuff. That's why you see me with the veggies, and the meat is very good, and the eggs are very good. A little bit of fruit, but not high sweet fruits. And and you basically fast. You eat at dinner, then you don't eat till lunch. I just ate around 11. So if you keep that up, it keeps the cells clean and basically keeps you off of insulin resistance. Here it is. All right, so here's me, Barcelona, on the beach. And here's the restaurant. Now, this is a very good Chinese-American restaurant. I don't know if you can see the beach. No, you can't really see the beach. It's right on the beach. And very good. So I ate there a couple times. Ate there once with Jenna, and then once when she was gone, I ate there by myself. And that's the restaurant, and that's the beach. So you can see it. Yes, this is a video actually, and yours truly. And my back was really bothering me then. That is the I believe that's the Caribbean, the Mediterranean. There's not an ocean there, but that's what it is. So again, there's the beach. We always saw that hotel there. So anyway, that's Barcelona. And it's fun, but now they're, I guess, protesting there. So people are protesting the fact that when they want to buy our arms. So this whole war is about the defense contractors wanting to increase sales. Let's have a war and then force everybody to buy our goods. You got to buy our military. And that's what Trump's doing. He's like the big broker. Oh, okay. You got to get your military up to 5% of your GDP. Like nobody has money. It's not worth anything. So how are they going to get $1 trillion? What are they going to buy? You're not at war. The only people at war are the U.S. versus the Ukraine and whatever's going on in Israel. We will never fight China, so don't even worry about that. We don't have a military, right? We got a very small military that's spread all over the world for no reason. It's just so they can buy weapons so the defense contractors can make money. It's the stupidest thing in the world. Do we need weapons? Well, we do, because we gave them all to the Ukraine, and they sold them to Mexico and the cartels and other countries. So why is there a war in the Ukraine? It's ridiculous. Putin is not going after Europe. Putin doesn't want Europe. He's got a big fucking country with 11 time zones. The last thing he wants to do is take over Poland or Czechoslovakia or any. He does not want to. My friend in Romania was worried about it. Oh, they're all taking these radiation pills or whatever they were. Well, and just in case he nukes us. He's not going to nuke you. He's not nuking. He's a businessman. He wants to sell his oil and his diamonds and his gold and silver. That's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to blow up anybody. If he did, he would have, but he doesn't want to. There's no reason for it. So, um, why is Ukraine not surrendering? They're killing, they're recruiting and kidnapping 16-year-old girls, 16-year-old kids, and 70-year-old old men for the army without training. Just go in and what are you, insane? Yeah, we're gonna win the war. Yeah, with 70-year-old guys are gonna win the war. Um, again, I don't want to have anything to do with you. I won't go there. I've been to Odessa, and I've been to Lviv, which is very nice, and the Dnipropetrovsk and Donetsk. I've been there 4 or 5 times, but it was nice. The people were friendly. I thought once they kind of opened up to you. They're very, very standoffish until you kind of meet them and talk to them. Then they're very friendly. But why is there war? I don't know. And the whole thing makes no sense. So the defense contractors can make money. This is the reason for war. Oh my God. It was bad enough Hitler using Henry Ford, and he was making cars and tanks and other type of vehicles for the Nazis. That was scary enough, but I don't know. It's I don't get this war. Hitler he needed gold. They were broke. He went to the central bank, stole their gold. That made perfect sense. Not that it was good, but it made perfect sense. Here, I don't know. I don't get it. There's nothing that Ukraine cannot really attack Russia. Russia's blowing the shit out of them. I was told every night there's bombings, and I guess they hide in their little bunkers or shelters or whatever. And I'm sure everybody's stressed. I know I would be if I heard bombs outside, but I'd get the hell out of there is what I would do. Anyway, it's supposedly 7 weeks left because that's when the cold season starts hitting in October. And so Putin's trying to get his things and then just end it. Basically, we've won. There's nothing left. Zelensky won't quit because he doesn't want to lose power. The U.S. doesn't want to quit because they keep getting people to spend money on the defense contractors. And when they do give Ukraine money, it doesn't go anywhere. Zelensky takes his cut, and the Lindsey Grahams take their cut, and everybody takes their cut of the pie. And they can't even give them weapons. The weapons, they don't produce that many, and it takes 6 months, 9 months to make. So it's not, we're going to send them weapons. We don't have any. If we had to go to war, we would last 8 days, they say. Anyway, so that's all the good news I have about that. The thing that it is when we look at it from an economic standpoint, you're spending all this money, and you keep spending, and it gets it's worthless, right? Because you're just printing and printing and printing money, and you're spending it. It's all worthless. So people just don't get it. Even if you make $1 billion on Bitcoin, it's paper. All right, so let's take a look. Gold 33.24, silver 38.07. All right, let's go to baseball and sports in general. So our first pick yesterday was Toronto, which lost 11-4. Chris Bassett didn't show up. We had Arizona over 8 against Detroit. Detroit wins 5-1. Troy Melton, who just got called up, pitched better, although I'm sure he's not very good. We had Tampa Bay, which beat the Yankees 4-2. The Cubs under 8. No, Milwaukee beat them 8-4. Philadelphia. Nope, they lost to the White Sox 6-2. Houston lost to Washington 2-1. Texas, they lost to California 6-4. The Mets lost to San Diego 7-6, and Seattle over they won 3-1. So I got blanked yesterday. 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, 0-5, 0-6, 0-7. I go 1-7. See, some days you have a good day. I went 7-3 on Saturday. But then you get the streaks. Let's see what the streaks. Cincinnati won 4 in a row. And Cincinnati lost to the Dodgers, so that's over. Oakland had won 4 in a row. Where's Oakland? Come on, I know they played. I know they're not called Oakland. They call them the Athletics instead of Oakland for some reason. Oh, they're there. They did lose, so they lost. They're 4-0. Tampa Bay losing. They won, so their streaks ended. Houston on a 4-game losing streak. Now it's a 5-game losing. There's somebody that lost. That's why we got off of Houston yesterday, because they were on the 4-game losing. Texas on a 6-game winning streak. That's ended. The Mets on a 7-game winning streak. That's ended. Atlanta on a 5-game losing streak. And they won. All right, so all the streaks lost except for Houston, 4-game losing streak. Let's go into the standings and see if there's any new ones. American League. Baltimore's won 3 in a row. We've got, see, now Detroit's on a 2-game win streak. So they lose 19 out of 20, and now they're on a 2-game win streak. So you now a lot of it was the pitching. Scherzer doesn't have it anymore. And then yesterday was a real terrible pitcher. So I knew they were going to hit them. That's why I went over, but they only got 4 runs, so didn't do well. Houston's on a 5-game losing streak. Yes, I've got that. We've got, that's it. So you can see most of the teams stay on a 1 or 2-game win or lose streak. It doesn't really you get a few that really go off, but I think 10. So I think we got to pick it up at 3 now if we're going to play streaks. Washington's on a 3-game win streak. Philly's now on a 2-game losing streak. So it ebbs and flows. Pitt's on a 3-game win streak. Wow, Pitt hasn't won 3 games. Oh, no, they just beat the Tigers. But they don't win a lot. They only won 45 games. And, okay, San Diego's on a 3-game win streak. And San Francisco's on a 4-game losing streak. And Arizona is on a 3-game losing streak. And I bet the game over. So I looked at the box score yesterday. They played Detroit. They didn't have any hitters. I had them with 7, 8 hitters, right? Way back when Arizona had 5 hitters, had 6 hitters, had 5 hitters, had 7 hitters. And now they got like 2 hitters, 2 or 3 hitters. So you get the injuries, but there's so many games every day. It's hard to really keep track of the injuries. I'm not really looking at that. That's why I keep looking at the box score. All of a sudden, I see a guy hitting 0. I'm like, oh, okay, he's injured. So all of a sudden, Arizona goes from a power hitting team, which is why I bet the game over, to they don't have any hitting, which is why I'll bet it under then. So that's all. So you can see a lot of even good teams are win 1, lose 1, win 2, lose 2. And then they win, and it switches. So it's a lot of it is the pitching because all of a sudden their ace comes in. Scanes pitches, all of a sudden Pittsburgh wins. He breaks the losing streak. So that's what we have. So Tuesday, Toronto and Baltimore. Why are they playing 12:35? What the hell is that on a Tuesday? All right, Baltimore 120 and 10. Now this was a 10 yesterday, and it didn't get close to it. Or no, it was a 10 on Sunday. Yesterday we didn't bet it. Again at 10. Easton Lucas 3-2 with a 5.82 against Charlie Morton 6.8 with the 5. Could have sworn Charlie Morton pitched yesterday or Sunday. Okay, so I'm going to lay away from that because you just don't know. There's too much with the bullpen. There's too much with the man. The guy pitches 3 innings, and there you go. I thought I was going to get a 5.82 pitcher, and I get a pitcher that has a 5.82 ERA that pitches 3 innings, and then they go to the bullpen. Okay. Toronto and Baltimore are playing a doubleheader, but we don't know game 2. And the second game, Toronto is a big favorite, 125, and the over-under 10. I don't know how you can put an over-under out before the first game. You got to see the batting order and who's hot and who's not to come up with that. Arizona and Detroit. Detroit's now a 140 favorite, 8.5. Brandon Pfaadt, 10-6, 4.76. Casey Mize, 9-4, but now he's got a 3.40 ERA. See, they all made a big deal. They were all stars, and none of them are playing well. Now, this is a problem. This should be an over, but Arizona apparently doesn't hit, and Detroit can hit. So I'm going to have to leave this game alone. They're too inconsistent to really bet. Colorado and Cleveland. Colorado's got 28 wins now. They're moving 28 and 78. Wow. Cleveland, I think they won yesterday. Cleveland 220, 8.5. Tanner Gordon 2-2 with a 3.13. Logan Allen 6-9 with the 4.16. Again, I have nothing. Especially Cleveland's closer, real good pitcher, is suspended. Again, betting on the prop bets on himself. There's a big problem in baseball when you have FanDuel and BetMGM as your sponsors, and then the players are betting on themselves. You got to throw these guys out of the league, suspend them. Oshani should have been suspended and thrown out. But if you're giving the message it's okay, and it was his interpreter, not him, which is bullshit, then you have problems. So now this guy says, well, I'll do it. You got a guy in basketball, a couple guys in basketball who have done this. This is really serious because what you're watching isn't real. I mean, these players aren't trying, which it looks like anyway, but this is a big problem. You want somebody to pay a couple $100 to watch the game, it better be real. If wrestling we know is not real, but it's entertaining. To see Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant was entertaining. Was it fake? No, they hit each other. Well, they kind of do. I was listening to a story on Hulk Hogan yesterday. Sylvester Stallone, he was saying he was sad Hogan died. He was sad that like Apollo had died and now Hogan died. And he says, Hogan went to hit me and he threw the punch and it stopped right. It barely touched his nose or his head. Like it didn't take full impact. It was like they stop it like right here. And so that's what's fake about it is you think they're actually hitting him. They're not. If you really watch wrestling, what they do is they stomp their foot on the mat and it makes that noise. So every time you think they're hitting them, it's watch the feet, they stop. That's where we think it's fake because they're not really punching each other. But some of it, these somersaults and flips and everything, or like Ric Flair on the figure four, well, that's not real. He's not actually got the guy, but the guy's selling it. So he's looking like he's injured. Uh, so that's wrestling, though. But we know that. But in baseball or football or basketball, we are expecting them to play. We're not expecting them to be fixed and fuck around and fake that they're playing. That's just ridiculous. So, uh, it's terrible. But you need to throw this guy out. You should have set the example with Otani, but you didn't, and that's a problem because people think, well, I can do it. Otani did it, and he got away with it. Well, it was his interpreter. Oh, bullshit. Believe me, nobody's touching his money without him knowing what the hell's going on. So believe me, he was betting, and the interpreter took the fall. Probably got $10 million for taking the fall. We're not idiots. Sorry, we have to listen to Trump enough. We're not idiots. All right. So again, with Cleveland, with him, I don't know. Two kind of weak pitchers. In Cleveland, I have no idea. Cleveland, I can't figure out. They're 52 and 54. They're very inconsistent. All right. Tampa Bay at the Yankees. Yankees 190 and 8.5. I think we have a trend here. No, Tampa Bay lost yesterday. Okay. No, Tampa actually won yesterday. Joe Boyle 1-0 with a 1.42 against Max Fried, 11-4 with a 2.62. Who is Joe Boyle and why is he listed as the starter? Is the question. Joe, a Notre Dame guy. Oh, he must be good. Pitched in. Well, he pitched in April and then he didn't pitch till July, so he probably got hurt. He's pitched 5 innings twice. And then he pitched 4 innings, and then 2 innings and 3 innings. I think he's a starter. 3 innings, gave up 1 run against the White Sox. 2 innings, shutout against Baltimore. I mean, so it's really meaningless. So the question is, do we bet this game under because Joe Boyle's got a 1.42 ERA, or do we bet the Yankees with Max Fried 11-4 at the 2.62? So you can either A, bet the game under, because Max Fried, although he's been the last few starts, or he's been coming out after 6 and the bullpen's been screwing up, or do we bet the Yankees? I think we'll take the Yankees with Max Fried. Start with them. Are they anywhere on here? No, they're not, and Tampa's not. All right. So we'll take the Yankees, just a 2-unit play with Max Fried. The Dodgers in Cincinnati. The Dodgers 150 and 9. Tyler Glasgow 1-1 with the 2.75. Nick Lodolo 8-6 with the 3.08. Do we have anything on the Dodgers or Cincinnati? No, we don't. Okay, so there's no streak. Lodolo 3.08. Tyler Glasgow again 1-1 with the 2.75. I'm going to lay away. Boston, Minnesota. I don't have pitchers. The Cubs in Milwaukee. Colin Ray, 8-4. Wow, he used to have a 1.9 ERA. He's now 4.06. Quinn Priester from Milwaukee, 9-2 with a 3.28. Milwaukee or the Cubs? No trend. I think this is for first place. Milwaukee 63 and 43. The Cubs 62 and 44. So they're both the best team in baseball because they have a better record than Detroit. Ray, he's sliding. Priester, we're going to go with Milwaukee. It's a tough one because I don't really want to go under. The ERAs aren't there. Colin Rye's not pitching well. So let's take Milwaukee. Atlanta and Kansas City, again, nothing. KC 125, 9.5. Eric Fetty for Atlanta, 3-10 with the 5.22 against Seth Lugo, 7-5 with the 2.95. Seth Lugo is definitely better here. Okay, we can take KC for 2 units. Now, the problem with baseball now is it's just every day, and the players get tired. So you're not sure what the expected outcome is, right? I mean, what should happen in Atlanta, KC, Seth Lugo should easily win with the 295 against Fetty with the 522. But because it's tiring and it's in July, we're going into August, the players are tired. You just can't play strong every day. If you golf, you try golfing every day and it's just tiring on you and you do not play the same. One day you'll shoot great and the next day you shoot bad. You've seen it on the tour. One guy shoots 60 and I can guarantee you the next day he's shooting 70. A guy shoots 78, I guarantee he's going to be in the 60s the next day. It's a mental thing. It's some physical thing. Is your mind right? And physically is everything. Because you do get golf's a very hard game because you kill yourself, your back, your feet, your swing, and then the concentration. And baseball is very similar, but every day. Can you concentrate every day? And is your body going to be fit every day? And it's not. So you're going to have different things. That's the biggest problem we have there in baseball. And I know David said to me yesterday, well, it's hard to bet it every day. And I agree with him 100%. I'm doing this to try to figure it out. That's why we're really not betting this. And I'm betting a couple, but I mean, basically, when I give you these picks, they're we're doing like a lab, right? We're doing data tests to see if we can figure out expected outcomes, which sometimes we do. We were 7-3 on the 26th, and then yesterday we were 1-7. So it's the theory that we try, but it's not that easy. So you just got to understand that, and that's where we're at. It's like interviewing. I interview the same every time, but some people like it and some people don't like it. And I get some jobs and some jobs I don't. Anyway, it's just what happens. We've got Philly and the White Sox. The White Sox won yesterday. Philly a 175 favorite and 9. Jesus Luzardo 8-5 with a 4.58 against Jonathan Cannon 4-7 with the 4.48. Again, you can't trust either pitcher. Again, it's the managers are so bad. You really don't know what you're getting. For example, Jose Luzardo for Phillies, 8-5 with a 4.58. How many innings is he going to pitch? Is he going to go 4? Is he going to go 6? Is he going to have a bad inning? This is all on it. See, this is the problem. Mahomes, we know what he's going to do. Joe Burrow, we know what he's going to do. Josh Allen, we know what he's going to do. Lamar, we don't want to talk about. We don't know what he's doing. We know what Daniels is doing. We know basically Philadelphia is going to come with their defense, and Bo Nix and Denver is going to come with their defense. It's the Carolinas that we don't know because they're so bad in Houston and Tennessee and Jacksonville and Indy. Those are the teams that we try to stay away from because we have no idea if they're going to show up or not. And that's what you have here, Philadelphia and the White Sox. Phillies should win. Phillies 16-46, the White Sox 39-68. The game's at the White Sox. And you don't know, like, is Jose Luzardo, is he going to go 7 innings and give up 1 run? Well, he's got a 4.58. Maybe he gives up 3 runs. And again, 7 innings, the ERA is 9. So if you only pitch 6 and you give up 2 runs, it's like giving up 4 or like 3 because then you take it out to 9 innings. So this is very, very difficult here where you think, oh, we'll just bet Philadelphia, right? But then you've got to be consistent. I might not bet. Then do I just keep betting Philadelphia? And I know they're 16-46, and they do have Bryce Harper back. So that's a key to it. This looks like an over because both pitchers suck and both teams have been hitting pretty good. So theoretically, I should bet over in the game. I don't see how I can play either team. The White Sox beat them yesterday. But it's a difficult call because you don't know what the 4.5 ERA pitcher is going to do. He could give a shutout. He could give up 6 runs. And there's too much inconsistent to come up with your expected outcome. So I'm going to pass on it, but I think it would be an over. I think Philly wins a high-scoring game, but I'm not going to go with it. Miami and St. Louis. St. Louis, 177.5. Sandy Alcantara. He was really good a couple years ago, and now he sucks, and now he's, I don't know, 5-9 with the 6.66 against Sonny Gray, 4-10 with the 4.33. We like Sonny Gray. He's good. Miami's bad, but they're not that. They're 50-55. St. Louis 55-53. Total of 7.5. I have no idea here. This looks like an over with a 7.5 in these two pitchers. Let's see if this is even accurate anymore. Miami, 5 hitters and 1 bat. Miami can hit. St. Louis, 3 hitters and 3. They had 7, then they had 5, then they have 3. So they're not really hitting. I think I'll go through the box scores later and just update are the teams good hitting or bad hitting teams? Because that would come in handy here. If I had really good hitting teams, I could play this game over 7.5, but I don't know. Washington and Houston. We got Houston minus 148.5. Michael Soroka, 3-8 with the 4.85 against George Costanza. Jason Alexander, 1-1 with an 8.14. He stinks, just like you did on the show. I can't even watch Seinfeld anymore. I used to like it, and it was funny. And then I became stoic, and I look at it, and I go, this is stupid. I mean, it's a real stupid show, and I can't watch Kramer, and I can't watch George. I mean, they're all stupid. It's not funny anymore. It's stupid. It's weird how that changes, but that's what it is to me. So I got this clown Alexander pitching 1-1 with an 8.14. Washington and Houston. Houston's on a 5-game losing streak. Washington. Okay, we're going to take Washington here. We'll go 3 units. So finally we have a trend. Houston 5-game losing streak. Washington 3-game win streak. Okay. Texas and California. Nothing here. California 125-9. Patrick Corbin 6-7 with the 3.78 against UC Kikuchi for California, 4-7 with the 3.23. I'll pass. The Mets and San Diego. San Diego's on a 3-game winning streak. The Mets minus 125 and 8.5. So they're a home dog. We got Chamonix on 1-1 with a 2.19 against Ryan Burgett, 1-0 with a 2.84. So we're going to do 2 things here. The first bet is San Diego under 8.5, 2 units. And then since San Diego's on a 3-game win streak, I'm going to take San Diego for 2. Now, I don't know. Let's see. Ryan Burgett, never heard of. Manet, I've heard of. Sean Burgett is he's pitched some bullpen, or he's had really bad starts. I think they're bullpen pitches. And then he got into the starter role, and he's given up a couple runs a game. So give up 2 or 3 runs, and that's it. Let's go back up. Toronto and Baltimore. Baltimore's on a 3-game losing streak. So we're going to go Toronto in game 1 for 2 units. We'll skip game 2. Let's see. Houston's on a 5-game losing streak. Have we got to Houston yet? Yeah, against Washington, we took Washington. San Diego, we just played. Pittsburgh. I don't think we've got to Pitt yet. Here we go. Pitt and San Francisco. All right. Pitt's on a 3-game win streak, and San Francisco's on a 4-game losing streak. So we're going to take Pitt. Bailey Falter, 7-5 with a 3.82 against Justin Verlander, 1-8 with the 4.7. Yeah, we're going to have to play 3 units on Pitt. Verlander, he's just old. Him and Scherzer, just old. Pitt's playing well, although they had the trouble of the West Coast. They obviously won yesterday, and then Frisco's on a 4-game losing streak. So let's see. Frisco, Pitt, San Diego, Washington, Houston, Baltimore, Arizona. Who's Arizona playing? Oh, they're playing Detroit. Okay. Arizona's on a 3-game losing streak. Okay, Casey Mize. Okay, so I guess we're going to play Detroit. 2 units. Again, they started to win, so now the streak's over. Now you get off. You follow the streak. So if we're at Baccarat and the player hits 4 times in a row and then loses, we don't do anything. We see if bank's now going to hit 4 or 5, like at 3, or is the player going to hit? We don't care that banks hit 5 times in a row and then it lost. It's what's going to happen next. We don't care about before. We're not going to play the bank because the bank's hitting. Because if the bank's hitting, then it'll hit 2 or 3 more times. So you jump off the streak when the streak ends, and then you don't know. You let the next streak speak for itself. So Detroit's won 2 in a row. They're starting to get going. And then you start going with that. And then you just like, so now Detroit's won 2 in a row, but you've got Arizona on a 3-game losing streak. So Atlanta's pitching bad. Now, what usually happens is the ace comes in and breaks the streak, right? That's the problem. So when the ace comes out, the streak ends. That's why you got to start picking this up at 3. You can maybe get 3 or 4 wins, like maybe you get up to 6 or 7. Very unusual to get a 10 or 15 game win or lose streak. Detroit had a couple. Milwaukee had a big win streak. Yankees had a big under streak. So you try to keep an eye on that. But you just play the streak. I know what you're saying. Baseball is hard to pick every day. You're right. That's why we're leaving it to the streak, and we're letting the streak say, here we go. We got Baltimore on a 3-game losing streak, Washington on a 3-game win, Pitt on a 3-game losing, on a winning. We got San Diego on a 3-game winning. We got Arizona on a 3-game losing streak. So we're just gonna play. We're gonna pick it up at 3 because I don't see too many 9 or 10 game streaks. You have some, but not a lot. That's okay. Again, the worst you can do is lose 1. Like yesterday, 4 or 5 came off the board. So that's okay. Now we're off of that. We didn't expect them all to lose at the same time. I mean, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think 6, 7. There was 8 streaks that ended yesterday out of 9. I mean, you don't expect them all to end the same day. But yesterday was a Monday, so Monday's a travel day, and they play. They're tired. So you kind of now, okay, let's try to look during the week. Today's Tuesday. Okay. And, we're just trying to figure out if anything works. Maybe nothing works. Okay, fine. This is not high stakes baseball. This is very low stakes. Football's high stakes. Football, we figured out. We've got that down to a science. We know exactly what to look for and how to bet it. College is getting on my nerves because of all the NIL transfers and all the coaching change. I read yesterday, I think there's 6 or 7 coaches that have never coached before. This is their first gig. 7 coaches in college are on their first gig. All right. Our last game is Seattle and Oakland. Seattle 120, 10.5. Logan Evans, 4-3, 364. Luis Servino, 4-11 with the 4.95. I have nothing on Seattle or Oakland, so there's no trend. Seattle plays well. They look like a good team. They did win yesterday, I think 4-1. But I'm going to lay away. I got enough here. So let's go through it. The Yankees, Max Fried going. We're betting Max Fried, not a trend. For 2 units, we got Milwaukee, 2 units. Kansas City, 2 units. Washington, 3 units. San Diego under 8.5, 2 units. San Diego also 2 units. Toronto 2 units, Pitt 3, and Detroit 2. Mostly we're betting against Baltimore, we're betting against Houston, or we're betting against the 49ers, San Diego. Oh no, San Diego's on a 3-game win streak, so we're taking San Diego. So there's a lot of difference. You're playing teams for different reasons. Either very good pitcher against very weak. We see that works a lot. The streaks are something new. We're trying out the streaks. So if you just want to bet on the pitcher, you want to bet on Max Fried today, I understand that makes perfect sense. If you want to bet on Houston on a 5-game losing streak and take whoever they're playing, Houston's playing Washington. So we took Washington for 3 units. But you also have Washington on a 3-game win streak. You have a team playing well against a team playing shitty. And I think we have that again in Pitt, seeing the Mets. So San Diego over the Mets. Pitt and San Francisco is the other. Pitt on a 3-game win streak, and the 49ers on a 4-game losing streak. And Verlander, who's not what he used to be, unfortunately. So there's a couple where one's a loser, one's a winner in the same game. So you just bet the winner. So we will see. Again, we're just trying different things. We've looked at betting the ace or betting the pitcher with the 2 ERA. Yesterday, there was a couple games that I bet under. The Cubbies had both pitchers were like under 3. And I bet over in the Arizona-Detroit game, and Detroit and Arizona didn't hit. And then I look at the box score, and they have, I think, 2 or 3 hitters. They got a guy hitting 0. They got a guy hitting 143. And I'm thinking, I'm betting this team over, but I didn't know they're that bad. But that's what you use. And again, will you face the same hitters? This I'm not sure of. These large contracts. So Scuba wants $40 million a year for 10 years. I tell them to fuck off. You're going to hurt your arm. Go hurt it on another team. They got him for 2 more years, so I keep him for 2 more years. The thing that's wrong, that people get wrong, is they think if they don't trade him, they don't get anything back for him. And this is a big mistake. That's not how it works. First of all, how much are you paying the guy? Let's say you're paying him $20, $30 million now. I don't know. Let's say you're paying him $20 million, which I assume you are, or he'd be sitting out. If you don't trade him, you do get something for him. You get the $20 million back that you can pick up a free agent somewhere else. And you can pick, so it frees up you to get guys. Why do you have to trade them all the time? The Tigers are notorious for incredibly bad trades. Verlander for nothing. J.D. Martinez for nothing. Scherzer for nothing. You got nothing for a lot of these players. So it opens up the money that you can then get a free agent, which is what you do in football and basketball. You don't need it. Like LeBron, when he switches teams, they don't really trade for him. His contract ends, he goes to a new team. It opens the book up for the other team, though. So if you're Miami and then he leaves, well, it opens everything up. Now I got $30 million to buy another free agent. That's the trade. So you're not going to get the right value. What do you think you're going to get for you trade Scuba? What do you think you're going to get for him? Nobody wants a guy on a 10-year contract. So good luck signing him. Maybe the Dodgers or the Yankees are the two stupid enough to do that. Look how much the Dodgers overpaid for Shohei. I mean, what's he on, like $70 million a year? They got to be out of their fucking minds. So it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So that's the misnomer. Yes, you keep the money that you were going to spend on him, and that's the trade, spending on another 1 or 2 free agents for him. And most of these guys are not very good. even if you trade for somebody, what are you going to, okay, I would trade him for Scanes. No brainer there. But if I'm not going to get Scanes, then I'm going to get some nobody or a prospect. I love that, the prospects. The prospects are playing against minor leaguers. So if they look good against minor leaguers, doesn't mean that they're any good. I was listening to the Detroit radio over the weekend, and this guy's saying, "Oh, this guy's what's his name? I don't know. Their top prospect. I can't think of his name. Willoughby or something." And he's a top prospect in little league. Does not make him a top. Doesn't make him a major leaguer. Oh, he'll be great in the major leagues. Why? Because he can hit minor league pitching. Well, I know most of the major league pitching is minor league pitching, but it doesn't translate. There's so many busts that the guy comes up and he stinks because he's now facing major league pitching. This guy Underwear, the Michigan quarterback, you can't say he's any good because he's coming up against high school players that are 17 and 18, and now he's going to play 22, 23-year-old college players. And that's a big difference at that age. So you don't know if he's any good or not. He might not be able to throw like Lamar. And against the better teams, Detroit had that guy Footsteps or whatever, where he was a very fast runner. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. He'd get in against Michigan State and Ohio State, and he didn't do anything. They knew how to defend him. You've got to be able to throw as a quarterback. So just because you're good against high school players does not mean it translates to college. And the same thing in the baseball is for sure. Because you hit in minor leagues does not mean anything about hitting in major leagues. So I don't know what this guy's name was, but he, the announcers all, oh, he's the best prospect ever. Better than Clemente and Mantle and K-Line and all these guys. Oh, okay, sure he is. K-Line was such a good prospect. He never played in the minor leagues. He immediately went into the major leagues when he was 18 or 19, whenever he was ready. He didn't play minor league ball. So, oops, I guess that throws that analogy out the window. But you don't know, and that's why to trade Skubal for prospects is a mistake. Even if you got the 1, 2, 3, 4 prospects, because how are they 1, 2? Who's ranking them? Some idiots ranking them. So you really don't have a clue. And you got to be careful with that. I would think that you have to be very careful and understand that. So that's baseball today. Again, I'll go through it. We're going to take the Yankees because of Max Fried, Milwaukee, Kansas City, Washington because Houston's on a 5-game losing streak. San Diego under 8.5. San Diego also because who are they playing? Houston's on a 5-game. No, that's somebody else is on a losing streak. No, San Diego's on a 3-game winning streak, so we're taking San Diego. We're taking Toronto on a 2-game win streak. Pittsburgh because they're on a win streak, and 49ers are on a losing streak. In Detroit because Arizona apparently doesn't have any hitters. A decent pitcher, Casey Mize, and only because Detroit's starting to win again, will jump on board. I know how they get at home, and Arizona apparently can't hit. But I think it'll be low scoring because Detroit can't hit either unless they get these lollipop pitchers. And I see Detroit really a bunch of zeros, and then they have one good inning. They did that against Toronto on Sunday. It was like 3-0, and they got 7 runs in the 8th inning or something. So they hit around, but the rest of the game, they all strike out. All you got to do is throw them curveballs, and none of them can hit it. So that's baseball. Let's see, anything in football? I love this one. The Ravens have an all-time great quarterback. He's just missing one thing. He chokes. He can't play in big games, so he's an all-time great. When he gives up fourth quarter leads to Oakland and Cleveland at home, he's not an all-time great quarterback. It's bullshit. This is where you get into a problem. You read that, and then you start betting him, and then he starts losing, and then you go, yeah, he's not an all-time great. So this is just bullshit, whoever this Frank Schwab is. In year 7, it's time for Kyler Murray to put all the cards on the table. He's just a fast quarterback. He's not very good. There was an attack on Wall Street yesterday in New York. That was the first thing I got. A league employee was seriously injured in the shooting. No, but there was they shot one of the execs at Blackstone, not BlackRock, the other Blackstone. And it was attack on Wall Street. The guy's probably losing money, and he killed one of the things. And I thought it was the guy from Attack on Wall Street. New York City's not safe. The mayor's a communist, and it's just very dangerous there. I would have no desire to go to New York. Just like I'm like I don't want to go to Vegas. I don't want to go to New York. I'm not sure about Barcelona because they're not rioting, but they're protesting against visitors. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen. NFL holdouts negotiation tracker. John Gruden, I'm working hard to get one more shot at coaching. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Let's see. Broncos wide receiver Cortland Sutton got his deal done, reaching a reported 4-year, $92 million extension on Monday. So you can see he likes Bo Nix, he likes Sean Payton. So if you got a chance to win, you're going to report. Now, there's nothing wrong with holding out to get your money. Micah Parsons continues to attend practice, but is sitting out with what he's calling backitis. The fans are saying, pay Micah. It's not their money. Stephen Jones, the Cowboy exec, says he's got to want to get paid. Who doesn't want to get paid? No, he works for free. Elsewhere, Washington receiver Terry McLaurin reported a training camp Sunday morning. But he is waiting for a new contract. The Bengals reportedly reached a fully guaranteed deal with first-round pick Shemar Stewart. He was the final first-round draft pick class to not get done. And now we're waiting on the other Hutchinson to get signed with Cincinnati. So Micah Parsons is probably the biggest name, and then Cincinnati, Trey Hendrickson left for Florida instead of reporting to the Bengals camp. I'm not sure I'd pay that guy if over an offer he called atrociously low. All right, so you just stay stoic and say, I'm not signing for that. Give him a counter offer. This is what I need. Buffalo Bills running back James Cook, I don't know why he's sitting out. Packers offensive lineman, who cares? 49ers Juan Jennings. He's like the third running receiver practicing. Jackson Smith, Najima Cooper Cup bring a next level mindset. You got to be kidding. Next level. He's terrible. Cooper Cup's always injured. He's out. So Seattle has Cooper Cup and Smith and Jimba. Yeah, they're in big trouble. Very big trouble. So that's what we're looking at. So again, there was Attack on Wall Street guy. All right. So that is sports. Let's look at gold price. 33.22. Silver's up to 38.17. Silver's ridiculously low, as we know. All right, let's go to some videos. So I want to show you this one on diabetes. It's 40 minutes. We're not going to watch it. We're just going to watch about 4 minutes of it. Okay, he's going to talk about how your body adapts. So you see different cultures, and you see like Asians have different eyes, and it's because of where they live or their things, or some people, they live in the sun, so they're darker. Some live in the cold, they're lighter, Eskimos or whatever, or us. So we adapt. So this is the adaptation part of.
Hey, there must be something wrong with you. You look all swollen. No, those muscles are there because they're compensating, they're adapting to the increased workload. But here's the thing, diabetes is also an adaptation. So here is a cell, and this cell performs work. It's the metabolic machinery. It uses fuel, it has enzymes, and it makes energy out of that. Now over here, we have a blood vessel. So when you eat food, you chew it, you digest it, you have enzymes in your digestive tract to break down the food. But this food can't do anything for you until it gets into the cell. And that's the role of insulin. So as we eat food, the blood sugar goes up, and then insulin rises to bring that glucose into the cell. And now that cell can perform work, and it's very happy. Then we eat again, and the process continues. Now, if we do this the way we have done it for as long as humans have been around, for eons, then we've eaten a certain way, and this has balanced itself out. But in the last 50 years, we've started eating more frequently. We've added something called sugar in mass. It's not something we have once in a while. It's one of the big food groups, so to speak, unfortunately. So we eat sugar, we eat grains, we eat processed grains, we eat processed foods, and we start eating more snacks, and we start having sugary drinks. Now what happens is that blood sugar rises many times a day. We might eat 3 meals and have 3 snacks, but then we keep chewing on something in between too. So a lot of people will have blood sugar spikes 20 times a day. And now we have insulin spikes 20 times a day. So now it's like we come knocking on the door of the cell 20 times a day, and eventually the cell says, hey, I just need stuff a couple of times a day, not 20. So it starts resisting insulin, and that's insulin resistant. That's an adaptation. When we put too much stuff in, when we put more in that it can reasonably use, then it's going to develop a resistance. So now it blocks the action of insulin. insulin doesn't work the same, so the body has to make more. And now we're in a vicious cycle where insulin gets even higher, it keeps knocking even harder, the cell starts resisting even more. That is an adaptation. So now with that in mind, let's compare type 1 and type 2 diabetes. And type 1 is not an adaptation. Type 1, in a sense, is something you can get it. If you're unfortunate with circumstances that you might be stressed, you might have a genetic predisposition, you might get an infection, that there are certain conditions that when they combine in an unfortunate way, now you develop an autoimmune attack. And no one knows exactly why this happens, but they know some of these factors that are probably involved. And once you get it, and this autoimmune attack has actually broken down, had chewed up the cells that make insulin, now there are no cells, so now you have it. You have a condition. If you remember, I started out saying that there's a type of diabetes you can have and another one that you can't really have. Even though we talk about having type 2 diabetes, that's not really how we want to think about it. So type 1, unfortunately, you can get it and you can have it. Type 2 is a totally different animal. It is an adaptation, just like we talked about over here. When we do that process, when we push that process too far, the cell adapts, becomes insulin resistance. So it's something that we develop. And if we truly understand that it is an adaptation, that is something the body does in response to something, and we develop it, we also can understand that if we want to keep our type 2 diabetes, we have to maintain it. And I'm saying that sort of jokingly because, of course, nobody wants to maintain their diabetes. But still, if you stop maintaining it, it will go away. Unfortunately, it's very, very simple. It's not all that easy, mostly because of habits, mostly because of bad information. We're told to eat low fat and high carb and that sugar in moderation is okay, which it's not for people with type 2 diabetes. Once you have developed this adaptation, then you need to back off much, much more than someone who is just trying to maintain a healthy level. So there are lifestyle issues. We're told to eat the wrong things. We have habits, we have cravings. But the fact of the matter is that if you stop maintaining it, then it will go away. Sign number 3 is unwanted weight loss. And this would be despite eating a lot. So this could be someone who has never had a weight issue. This could be someone who
So did you get that? It's an adaptation. So you're used to eating ice cream and cake and cookies. You develop diabetes, and you can't get the insulin in your cells. So how do you get rid of it? By stop eating the sugars, which is what I did. If you don't eat the sugars, you change the adaptation. Your body adapts to not getting the sugars. Your cells clean up, and then they can take the insulin, which is what you need. And then you get to a point where, okay, you're not eating the sugars, you're eating eggs and meat and veggies and chicken and fish. You're eating a lot of veggies, have coffee and tea. You get away from sugar, you get away from high fructose corn syrup, and then you've killed the sugar now. You're not eating it. You do some fasting, which helps, and you get rid of the diabetes because your body has adapted to that style of eating. But if you stop eating that, then you're okay. So I remember I probably was a good 3 or 4 years where I lost a lot of weight, and I basically didn't have sugar or cookies or anything, and didn't. I got rid of all my high fructose corn syrups, ketchups, barbecue sauce, salad dressings, and I be careful with the watermelon and the cherries. And I went to a lot of veggies and the Kent salad dressing, which is not high fructose corn syrup. It's got some sugar in it, but how much salad dressing you're pouring on. So you're now at a different stage. Now you've cleaned yourself up. And now what I do is I look at myself, and if I'm not heavy, and I feel good, then I know I'm not diabetic, or at least I'm healthy enough to do that. My feet do have problems. I don't know if that's from diabetes. I think it's more from gout than diabetes, because it just seems to be my feet, and it comes and goes. But if I do that, then I do it. But that's why I work out every day. That's why I don't eat till 11:30. I've changed the habit of my eating, and it cleans up the what did he call it?
Sudden finds that there may not only be
the adaptation.
That's
So I changed the adaptation. I adapted to not eating. A big thing I ate was cereal. I had Cheerios and Wheat Chex. I had a lot of that, and milk. So I cut that out. I cut yogurt out. I cut breakfast out. And so one of the things that he talks about, I'm not going to go, it's a 40-minute video if you're wanting to see it. It's Our Good Doctor, 10 warning signs. It's just on today, but it was a year ago. And part of it is, as he's saying, weight loss, unwanted weight loss, where you're not trying to lose weight and you're losing weight. Part of it is the vision. If your vision's blurry, be careful. But it's basically your cell's full and it can't get the insulin in. That's the problem with it. So I saw a guy at the pool with a patch on. He says, forget about it. You don't, because he's trying to get insulin into his cells, but the cells are full. He can't get any insulin into his cell because they're full. So why would you pump insulin into your system when the cell's full because of all the sugar? And he's a fat guy. And I talked to him a couple of times about it. And then he went to his doctor, and the doctor advised him not to do it. And now I don't talk to him. I don't like people that, like, if I'm trying to help, right? So if you don't want to listen to me, I got no time for you. There's no point in it. I think we'd all be better off if we did that. Instead of trying to convince them, instead of, like, because you're trying to help. Like, I don't know who this guy is, but apparently he's got a big stomach. Apparently he's diabetic. He's wearing these patches. I'm trying to help him. You don't want my help? Fine. I'm not going to help you. And that's what ends up happening. So there's no point in talking to a guy who's not going to listen to you for help. So anyway, so that's kind of what I had to do to change my food, was simply change, get out of the yogurts, get out of, fried foods. And then, like, I do a lot of cooking at home. And then I got into my cayenne pepper and like salt and cinnamon and lemon, all the healthy foods that help to keep you. And then I do the fasting every once in a while. I'll do a 3-day fast or a 2-day fast, which allows the cells to clean themselves. So you're not eating anything. So therefore the cells are looking for food, and that's what you want. And I've never had a problem fasting. I just did 72 hours a couple of weeks ago. And you just go with that. You just got to be careful. Like, if I do get like now I can have an ice cream because my cells are cleaned, and therefore an ice cream once in a while is okay. Not when you're diabetic and you're trying to clean your cells out, basically. So now I can have one, but once in a while, not a continuous, let's have chocolate cake every day. Or that's why I stay away from alcohol. People don't understand that. How can you stay away from alcohol? Because it's all sugar. I worked at Hiram Market. That whole thing of whiskey it's all sugar. So you understand that. And I don't really like getting drunk anyway. It doesn't do much for me. Usually I fall asleep or I say stupid things. So I prefer not to. But you stay away from the sugars and the sweets. So there's carbs. Stay away from bread, yogurts. So even if I go get a hamburger at Coney, I tend to eat only half of the top of the bun. So I take the one bun off, I cut the other in half, I put the hamburger on it. So I'm eating really one bun. Should I just eat it plain? Well, I don't mind the bun, but a little. But I don't like get ice cream out or cake. I'll never get like chocolate cake or ice cream. Once in a while, I'll go to the market and pick up a little, uh, a little piece of cake or those little ice creams. I'll get that just as a treat, and then that's it. But that's kind of how what you adapt to. So it's all adaptation. So I just wanted to show you that. He does go through 10 warning signs. Like I said, peeing a lot is a warning sign. Your eyes getting blurry is a warning sign because things swell and your retina can't see that well. So I know if my vision gets blurry, I know I'm in trouble. So if that happens, I immediately fast because I'm trying to put an end to it and I know why it's happening. So if you understand the signs, then it's easy and you understand the cause that, so again, we go back to Titanic. The ship hits the iceberg, the water comes in, the ship sinks. You need to get to the lifeboat. You eat a lot of sugar, your ship's going to sink. You're going to have health problems. So you need to get into the lifeboat. And the lifeboat in this case is to stop eating the sugar. Get out of the sugar, get into the veggies, get into the meats, get into the eggs. And that's fine. So like when I was really into it, I would eat lunch would be a 3-egg omelet with meat and veggies. And then lunch might have been a little snack, a little apple or something. And then dinner would be a steak or chicken and a salad. So I'd have my omelet with veggies and I'd have my salad. But that was it. There was no ice cream. There was no dessert. There was no pop. If I have pop now, once in a while, it's diet and caffeine free because the caffeine's bad for you and the sugar's bad for you. So any pop you get, it's got to have no sugar and you want no caffeine. I'm amazed the restaurants don't carry like diet Sprite or diet 7-Up or diet Squirt. They just have Coke and, once in a while they have Coke Zero, which has no sugar in it. But they just, it's Coke, it's Sprite, orange or whatever, but it's all sugar. So they're feeding you sugar. It's terrible. Anyway, let's see what else we got. So that's your health tip of the day. Be careful, but diabetes is curable, as we just have stated. So again, that's what it looks like. The diabetes 10 warning signs by our good Dr. Ekberg. So keep that in mind. Most of the stuff is curable, and most everything we get disease-wise is from sugar. We eat too much sugar. We eat too much bread and carbs, cookies, ice cream. It's okay to have like on a Sunday, but that's it. But the rest of the week, it's omelets and steaks and chicken and veggies and salads and stuff like that. I put a lot of veggies in my omelets. I'll put onions and I put peppers and broccoli in it, cayenne pepper and Celtic salt and 3-egg omelet. And when I have chicken or hamburger, I'll put that in there and it tastes great. But I stay away to the meat and I stay to the veggies. And so when I go to a grocery store now, I don't even go through half the aisles. I'm never in the cereal aisle, the chip aisle. Occasionally I'll get some nuts. And then I get eggs and the half and half I try to get. But you avoid all the processed foods, and all these foods have high fructose corn syrup. So it's best to just get veggies and cook them up a little bit or put them in your salad and get the Ken salad dressing, which is good for you. Here, it happened. China and Europe dropped the dollar. So again, let's take a look at that.
Left. Still, in this hope, the dollar is falling anyway, since the situation is becoming increasingly alarming. Recently, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent demanded that the world's top financial leaders buy up American assets, as if the United States still controlled global finance. But it came across as an ultimatum: buy our debt, or else you will regret it. This wasn't diplomacy, it was open pressure in the spirit of Trump. And the most striking part? The dollar is falling anyway. Since the beginning of the year, it has dropped by more than 10% against a basket of 6 major currencies, including the yen, euro, British pound, Canadian dollar, Swedish krona, and Swiss franc. It's the sharpest decline in the past 50 years. No wonder investors are fleeing. The US already has $37 trillion in debt, and it plans to borrow another $514 billion this quarter alone. At this pace, the debt will grow by nearly $2 trillion more by year's end. If that doesn't raise alarms, here's another fact. In April, foreign investors sold $71 billion worth of US bonds. Of that, $23 billion came from China, while $15 billion was invested into gold in a single day. That means confidence in the dollar is already collapsing. At the same time, the US is imposing 50% tariffs on China, despite existing trade agreements. Apple has already lost $900 million. Imports are down 19%, and Bessent is pretending everything's fine. Yet the economy has nearly stalled. Growth is just 0.3%, and markets are in panic. America no longer looks like a leader. It looks like a desperate borrower. So let's break it down step by step. Bessent's speech sounded more like theater than economic policy. He tried to present the US as a growth country, but it came off like a cry for help. Bloomberg reports that since January, the dollar has fallen 10%, and in just 2 weeks, foreigners sold $41 billion in bonds. Even Japan.
So keep in mind, the dollar's inflated, right? So as we print this to death, this has no value anyway. So when they're talking about is the dollar versus other currencies, the dollar's fallen 10% versus these other currencies. But what they keep missing is this has no value. And as people are getting away from it, and BRICS is buying and selling the bonds to buy gold, because all the currencies are worthless, right? Unless they're backed by something. This is a very key point that I want to stress: is you must understand most of the money are not worth anything. The only way you have value is if it's backed by something. So if you have a gold piece, it's backed by the gold that you have. If you have a 1 ounce gold coin, it's the gold backs itself. If you have a mantle card, the card is the backing that gives it the value. Rolex, it's the watch. A digital Rolex wouldn't be worth shit, but the physical Rolex is. A digital dollar is not worth anything if it's not backed by gold or silver, which it's not. This whole stable coin, Bitcoin, they're not backed by anything. You're still fucked, right? You're still fucked because it's not real. There's no value in it. What you're trying to look at is what's the value of X, Y, and Z? What's the value of these? What is the value of these? The value is 0. Well, how? It has a 5 on it. And this one has a 1 with George Washington on it, right? It's got to have value. It's got George Washington. It's got 1. It's worth 1. Okay, but what's 1 worth? What's the dollar worth? It's not worth anything. And this is what people have a hard time. They struggle with. They don't understand. Well, if it says it's $100 bill, it's worth $100. It is worth $100. The question is, what is the $100 worth? What's the value of the $100? It's not worth anything. You go to the grocery store now and you put 10 things in your cart, I guarantee you it's $50, $60, and you're not buying shit. All of a sudden, little cookies are $4. I don't know, cereal is like $6. I go buy a big cauliflower. It's like $4. What was I buying? Yes, I bought my pita bread was $3, and it was like everything, $4. Every item's $4. Even my little broccolis and cauliflowers and red peppers at $1.65. They used to be 20 cents. So that's really what it is. It's your dollar isn't worth anything. It has no value and nobody wants it. And that's when it's over. So you ask me, when does it blow up? Well, when nobody wants it, and nobody wants it. So it's unofficially over now. There's nothing they can do to save it because you've already printed it to death. The reason it's not worth anything because you keep printing it. Because now you're in a mess where you have to print it to pay your government employees and Social Security and the Defense Department and all this. So you're spending too much. You keep printing, but if you just print, that's massive inflation. So what you do, you try to sell your debt so you don't have to print. So you do these treasuries, these T-bills, treasury bonds. So you print bonds out of thin air, and you try to sell them to these countries who are not interested anymore. Now, you got a $37 trillion debt, you can't. So you can't really get out of your debt because where are you going to find money for it? That's what these wars are about. Well, if I get everybody to buy our defense from the defense contractors, if I get $37 trillion in defense, in missiles and tanks and stuff, we can use that to pay off the debt. And no, that's not going to happen. This is the problem. And the other countries don't have 37 trillion to do anyway. If they printed the money, that would be worthless. So the euro is worthless too, as is the British pound. So when the dollar is gaining on these or losing on these, it's all bullshit because it's zero versus zero. How do we lose or gain value? So just an FYI, all the money is worthless. Now, Alligator likes calling it debt, but it's money. It's a medium of exchange. I can take it, I can get paid in it, and I can go buy it. So when you get a job or if you're working, your paycheck's worthless, really. That's why I beg you to buy gold and silver, not Bitcoin and not stable coins and not stock. People think, oh, those are that's what I should do is get out of money. But stocks are still in the money. They're still in US dollars. So no matter what you have, it's in dollars and it's worthless. So if you have 1,000 shares of Apple, it's worth $1 million. It's not. You don't have value. I tried to explain to somebody in the locker room. I overheard talking to his buddy. I went to my financial planner and I'm a millionaire now. And I said to him, where are you going to put your money? Well, I got to, and you're going to tell me Bitcoin? Why would I tell you that? You don't even know me. You're jumping to a conclusion. I'm going to tell you Bitcoin without knowing me, not understanding me. And I said, no, I was going to tell you to buy gold and silver with it because your $1 million is worthless. And I really he didn't want to hear it because he just went to his financial planner and it was worth all this. But anyway, all right, a little bit more of this.
Germany have paused their purchases, scared off by instability and the trade war. Besson called the U.S. the anchor of the global financial system, but when capital is leaving and the dollar is sinking, trust is eroding. The Bank for International Settlements has reported that central banks are shifting from the dollar to the euro and gold. Today, 38% of global trade already happens outside the dollar. Besson talks about tax cuts and deregulation, but Congress warns this could add another $2 trillion to the deficit by 2030. That's not leadership. It's trying to sell a sinking ship.
All right, first of all, tax cuts do not add to the deficit. People think if I don't tax you, it's just like what we talked about in baseball. If I don't sign the guy, then I didn't get anything for him. And I say, no, it opens up money and you can buy players with the money you don't have to pay him. You can then buy other players. And if you want to go buy prospects from the other teams, same thing here. If you do a tax cut, it does not add to the deficit because you're going to spend the money. You're either going to buy gold and silver, or you're going to go on a trip, or you're going to buy clothes. You're going to put it in the economy and it's going to work. So because it's a tax cut, you don't have to pay for it. That's a Keynesian thing. No, it's better. The more money that the private sector owns, the better it is for the economy.
The question isn't whether Besson believes his own pitch. The real question is, does anyone else? According to an HSBC report, major investors are already moving into the euro and Swiss franc. The euro rose from 1.09 to 1.13, an 11% increase in just a few weeks.
I don't know why people would move into the euro. The euro's worthless. Why would the euro be any better? It's not backed by gold or silver. It's just paper, as I've said. Just because it has a 5 on it doesn't mean it has a value. This is worthless also, as is the yen, the yuan, the ruble, the rupee. Pick a country, they're worthless. And that's what you need to understand. Any of these other dollars that are not backed by anything are not worth anything. So you don't want to be, that was the first thing I thought about when Biden started doing $1 trillion spending. I said, well, that's the end of the dollar. Where should I go? And I thought, well, should I go into the euro or the British pound or the Swiss franc? And I said, no, they're the same. They're all printed to death. Also, they're not backed by gold. So somehow we got into central banks all over the place and basically massive inflation everywhere, which is the printing of the money, which is people getting older from World War II. And you got to pay their pensions. Now, why the government's paying pensions, I have no idea. You just leave everybody alone, and I'll go take care of my 7% and my employer matching 7%. And I'll take care of my own retirement just like I'm doing. I'm buying gold and silver. I don't need the government to retire. Now, we're smart enough to know to buy gold and silver. Most people are in 401ks are going to get killed. And this is the problem. Or, well, I have a house. Well, the house won't be worth anything because it's priced in dollars. Everything in dollars you must get out of. And you must be in silver and gold. It's the only choice. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But most people are going to get buried and they don't understand is why. People have to understand the why, and they don't.
Why? Because a 5% yield on U.S. bonds no longer offsets the dollar's decline. And according to IMF data, July saw a large-scale wave of de-dollarization. More and more countries are trading outside the dollar. And for the U.S., that's critical, because it's the dollar that underpins its debt. Besson claims U.S. markets are a safe haven, but ignores the reality. Liquidity without trust is just an accelerated exit. It's like being invited into a burning house. No one's going in. They're all running out. The trade war with China has hit U.S. businesses the hardest. Right now, the average tariff on Chinese goods is 50%, and as of May 2nd, 2025, the U.S. eliminated the de minimis rule, meaning even shipments under $800 are now taxed. Costs surged immediately. Apple's CEO admitted that in just one quarter, the company will pay $900 million in tariffs. Annually, that's roughly $3.6 billion in extra expenses. The U.S. economy is on the brink, and the ports are overwhelmed. A spike in imports is expected in July, 2.36 million containers, up 2.1% from last year. Retailers are racing to stock up before the next blow, because starting in August, the new tariffs kick in. According to Global Port Tracker, shipping volumes are expected to drop by 10% in August, and by November, by 21%. Companies are panicking and rushing to bring in goods early. But it's not China that pays the tariffs. It's American businesses, and ultimately, rising prices for ordinary families.
See, that's not true. China does pay the tariffs. China tries to pass the cost on to us, what he's really trying to say. So if something costs, if a Nike costs $100 and the tariff's $50 on it, so now the cost is $150. So what he's trying to say is, oh, they're going to pass the cost on to us. And I'm saying, no, we're not going to take it. We're not going to pay more for a Nike. We'll go to another shoe or buy it from Cambodia or India or Vietnam. We're not going to pay the tariff. Basically, it's too expensive for us. And the other thing is we shop very good. We're trained to shop for competition. So if they raise the price on the shoe to $200, we're going to say, fuck off. We're not going to buy it. We're going to go somewhere else until they lower the price. So again, what will eventually happen is the companies will go out of business or will not sell to the U.S. The companies because they're not going to be able to make profits. It's not going to be profitable for them. You cannot just raise prices. You've got to sell at market, whatever the market will bear. If it's $50 for the Nike or $100, you can't just make it 200 and expect people to buy. I say this to my barbecue place in Toyota all the time. Don't make the ribs 45. There's no market there. And you can't sell the Camry at 35,000. There's no market there. And it's never going to happen because it's too expensive. People are not going to pay for it. So you tariff them. Yes, it is China paying the tariffs only if and only if they sell to America, which they don't have to. They're signing agreements in Asia with Japan and Korea and Vietnam to sell to them. India, Saudi Arabia, they all want to buy gym shoes and shirts and everything like that. So it's about, I'm not going to sell to America. It's too expensive. That's what's going to happen. So no, we won't pay for the tariffs. A little of them we might pay if we need something and there's no substitute. Look at my dark chocolate. They went up from 2 something to 4 something, but I just bought 2 yesterday. It was buy one and get one at 50% off. So one was $4.70 and the other one was $2.35. So it was $7. So it ended up being about $3.50 for my 2 candy bars. I'm not paying $4.75. I'm paying $3.50. I'm waiting for that sale price to hit. And if it doesn't, if it doesn't hit, I won't buy it. I'll just not buy it. I don't care. I don't need it. It's a nice thing. It's very healthy, the cocoa. See, I don't buy the candy, the dark chocolate for the sugar. I buy it for the cocoa. There's a big difference there. So keep that in mind. There's not a lot of sugar in dark chocolate, right? So that's what I do. But that's what's happening. So it's not, they just assume it'll be passed. Well, our costs will go up. We're going to charge you more. Maybe, or they're going to buy it from a competitor, right? Let's see, who's bothering me now?
American businesses, and ultimately, rising prices for ordinary families. Small businesses might not survive. The National Retail Federation warns that uncertainty is making it impossible to plan, and consumers will feel the impact. There will be fewer products and higher prices. The entire global logistics system depends on stability, but Trump's tariffs are disrupting that balance. Even after the trade deal with China, many tariffs remained in place. And now even Christmas sales are at risk. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce reports that due to tariffs on electronics, solar panels, and chemicals, companies are losing up to 30 to 40% of their profits. According to a study by the National Bureau of Economic Research, tariffs caused consumer prices to rise by 2.4% in May and 2.7% in June. This hits low-income households especially hard. Logistics companies like Maersk report a 15% increase in costs because shipping routes have to be restructured. Besson talks about long-term resilience, but businesses are already struggling. It's like telling a drowning person, just wait, you'll learn to swim later. But if even Apple is struggling, what can be expected of small businesses? And hidden beneath all this tariff chaos is a simple truth. America cannot manage on its own, especially not without China. For many years, the United States believed China needed them more than they needed China. That idea shaped trade and politics alike. But now it's becoming clear that the opposite is true. In reality, America depends far more on China than it is willing to admit. And it's not just about cheap imports. China remains one of the largest foreign holders of U.S. debt, over $750 billion. While it is slowly reducing this share, it still has influence over the market. If Beijing begins selling off bonds on a large scale, it would push interest rates up and undermine confidence in America's ability to repay its debts. Washington relies heavily on foreign investors, and China has long been one of the most reliable. But now it is shifting its funds into gold, euros, and other assets, sending a clear signal that it no longer wants to finance someone else's deficit. And that's not all. China controls 80% of the world's supply of rare earth elements, materials critical to the functioning of every major American tech company. Establishing domestic production is not a matter of months, but of several years. The myth that the US can punish China by simply switching suppliers is collapsing. Most retailers still buy from China. No one else can match that scale and speed, and China knows it. It has long been developing alternative markets in Asia, Africa, and Latin America through its Belt and Road Initiative. The world no longer leans on the dollar, and certainly not on American promises. When trust fades, countries don't just move away from the dollar. They flee to gold, an ancient but reliable form of protection. In July 20...
The fuck does that mean, ancient? It's not ancient. I mean, it's been around a while, but it's not because it's ancient. It's because you can't print it. So gold's always good. Why you would ever get off of gold is mysterious, especially to get onto paper money. You got to be out of your mind to get out of gold into paper. I mean, that makes... That's why when people ask me, when are you going to sell your gold? I'm like, why would I sell my gold? It's money. It's an asset. Why would I sell it? If I need money, I got to figure out what I'm selling it for. If I'm selling it to get back into the Titanic, I'm only going to sell a small part if I actually need money to eat or to pay a bill or take a vacation. But that's the only reason I'm not selling. I didn't buy the gold to sell it. It's not a stock. I'm not buying it at 1,700 to sell at 3,400. It's never going to be sold. That's not the point of having the gold. The gold is wealth. The gold's a real asset that can't be printed, so it can't be inflated. That's why you buy gold. This guy doesn't even understand that.
2025, the price of gold soared to $3,350 per ounce, nearly 40% higher than a year earlier. Countries and central banks are buying up gold in a panic amid tariff wars and growing instability. The biggest buyers are China and Poland. In 2025 alone, they purchased 244 tons of gold. China added 50 tons in February and continues buying every month. Poland bought 90 tons last year and aims to raise gold's share in its reserves to 20%. It already became the largest buyer in 2024. According to the World Gold Council, 95% of central banks will continue buying gold in 2025, and 73% expect the dollar's share in global reserves to drop to 57%. 10% lower than 5 years ago. More and more countries, especially in BRICS, are switching to settlements in national currencies, bypassing the dollar. JP Morgan forecasts that if trade conflicts persist, the price of gold could rise to $3,675 by the end of the year and break $4,000 by mid-2026. Even ordinary Americans are starting to worry. Economist Peter Schiff openly stated, "The era of the dollar is ending. Life in the US could change, and very quickly. A weak dollar means rising prices for everything, from food to electronics. Small businesses are suffering from supply disruptions, tariffs, and expensive imports. And if central banks buy up to 900 tons of gold in a year while continuing to dump dollars, the US economy could enter a deep crisis. And while the world moves..."
They're buying a lot more than 900 tons of gold a year. Because it's not just the central banks, it's also the shadow banks, it's also the people of China and Russia are buying, India, the population buys, like me and you, when we go to the store, and we're not central banks. And the problem with the whole thing that he just said about the market is we're the market. We're the ones who are going to buy from the vendors selling. And if you make the prices too high, and you continually inflate the dollar to zero, and you don't come out with a new dollar, then you won't have an economy. That's really what the problem is, right? You have the economy. You want to sell a Camry for $25,000. The market says, okay, I'll pay for it. You want to sell it for $35,000. The market says, fuck off. And that's what happens. So as you're doing this, people are not willing to, they're not willing to pay. So if you're raising the prices, people can't afford to pay. You don't have a market. You have vast, not unemployment, but you have vast businesses going out. Now you need the basics. You need your food. You need your energy. You need to heat your house or cool your house. And you need a house. So you get into, you rent someplace if you can't buy. to buy the house, you're in trouble because the price is going to go way down because there's not going to be demand because you're over market, and the market has less and less dollars that are worth less and less. So you're killing the market with the inflation, which nobody understands. Trump wants to have stable coins because he doesn't want to come out with USD number 2. But how many stable coins are there? You're going to have inflation with stable coins? And what are they backed by? Nothing. So why would you go into a stable coin? Now, you might trade bullshit dollar for stable coin, but you lose control of it. If the stable coin's backed by dollars and it's helping you on the treasuries, it's just a scam. And that's what it is. So I'll take my dollars, thank you, knowing they're worthless, knowing if I get some, I go buying gold and silver. And that's what you really do. So that's the whole problem here. Is that China and Europe signed a deal. I don't know. He never mentions that where they did. Let's give it a final 3 minutes and see if he mentions this. China and Europe signed a deal to sell U.S. debt.
Gold. The U.S. continues to live on borrowed money, hoping someone is still willing to fund its deficit. But what if no one is left? Still, in this hope, the U.S. continues borrowing at a frantic pace, as if tomorrow will never come. But tomorrow is already on the horizon, and it's frightening. In the first quarter of 2025 alone, the Treasury borrowed $514 billion. Interest payments have reached $1.1 trillion and continue to grow. That now accounts for 20% of all federal revenue, according to the Congressional Budget Office. In April, foreign investors sold $71 billion worth of U.S. debt. In July, Fitch downgraded the U.S. credit rating to AA, citing fiscal pressure from tariffs. Also in July, the IMF warned of a potential refinancing shock. By the third quarter, bonds totaling $1.6 trillion will mature. According to June minutes, the Federal Reserve does not plan to cut rates. Inflation remains too high due to tariffs, but with negative real yields on bonds and falling foreign demand, this decision only slows the economy. It's like borrowing money to patch the roof during a hurricane. If investors continue pulling out, the U.S. debt bubble could burst, and no one will be prepared. But this is not just about the bond markets. Inflation and debt are already hitting ordinary Americans directly. Warning signals are coming not only from Wall Street, they're coming from kitchens across America. The Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index fell to its lowest level in 12 years, while the University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Index for July came in at just 61.8, down 16% since December. Yes, inflation expectations have declined slightly, from 6% to 4.5%, but that hasn't improved the public mood. Americans simply don't believe that anything good lies ahead. This collapse in confidence is already affecting retail. Yes, sales rose by 0.6% in June, but only thanks to essentials, cars, clothing, and medical goods. Meanwhile, spending on electronics and appliances is plummeting. In May, retail sales fell by 0.9%, and autos.
So there's a stock tip for you. If you have these IT things like Apple or Microsoft, and sales are down, there's problems. So they sell it in different countries, right? China, Apple's really in China, so they sell to whom? So you got to be careful. I love the inflation expectations down. Go ask 10 people if they know what inflation is, and I guarantee you none of them will, unless they listen to us. I mean, I remember Bobby saying, well, my daughter, I say, well, I'm buying gold. Well, you can't take gold to the grocery store. I don't know where people get that from. Why can't you take money to the grocery store? How else are you going to pay for everything? So right now we can use it, but at the end of the day, the gold we can trade for money to go to the grocery store is better than using the gold, the dollar that's not worth anything. So again, the daughter going, well, you can't eat gold. I love that one. You can't eat gold. You can't go to the grocery store with gold. You're like looking at these people like they're from fucking outer space. What are you talking about? So inflation is here and the dollar is toast because you printed too much money. It's money printing, period. That's what inflation is. You printed $150 trillion from the petrodollar to the FX exchange rates, where one country buys dollars to buy the other country's currency, China to buy dollars to buy Swiss francs. So I don't know what the hell people are talking about. There's massive inflation. That's why prices are going up, because the dollar's not worth anything. That's what Egon and Mark McGuire say a lot. It's not gold going up, it's the dollar going. They're not right. It is, the dollar is going down, but gold goes up because everybody's buying it. Anytime you have high demand and they're willing to pay more for it, obviously it's worth more. Why? It was 1,700, now it's 3,400. Why is that? Because demand. When it moves up, people are willing to pay for it. Well, that's the dollar going up in price. So any way you want to call it. So don't be fooled. Inflation's very high, unable to really get a percent. I'd say it's at least 10,000%. I mean, that it's a joke. If you go back to 71 and you go back to, gold being 35 an ounce and now it's 30, let's call it 3,400. That's not 3%. I hate to break it to you. The method of using year over year is not real, and the method of only selective goods, not all, are not real. I mean, you hear them say it. Well, we don't use everything. We don't. Oh, cars went up. Oh, we don't count cars. That's as fixed as COMEX, because my Social Security gets whatever inflation is, so it goes up 2%, 3% a year, when it should go up 30, 40, 500% each year. That's what the Social Security should be, much higher. And a lot of the things they use is by the inflation. Oh, it's 2%. Where do these people come up with this bullshit? And then you believe it because you don't know what it is. So if the government says it's 2%, it must be 2%. Although, damn, if Cheerios didn't go from $2 to $6, that's a little bit more than 2. So 2% would have been from $2 to $2.02 would be 2%. Oh no, it went up to $6. Well, let's not count it because it went up a couple 100%. Everything's gone up hundreds and hundreds of percent, but that's not the way to measure inflation, because it's got really nothing to do with prices. It's the value of the dollar dropping. So more dollars are needed to buy Canadian Club or to buy the laptop or to buy the iPhone. It takes more dollars, not prices going up. That's the key to it. So prices go up because it takes more dollars to buy Coca-Cola or Oreos, because they're not worth anything. So you think they raised prices. They didn't. The dollar lost value, which is what inflation is. So I don't know. You can only keep saying it so often.
Sales dropped by 3.5. Economists warn that even June's growth may be a false signal. People rushed to buy before prices climbed further due to tariffs. Financial pressure keeps mounting. The latest FINRA survey showed that 26% of Americans are spending more than they.
Let me get this. This is Ford, I believe. Hello? Hello?
Hi, is this Howard?
Yes.
Hi, Howard. This is Yvette calling you from Ford Component Sales. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I'd like to schedule an in-person interview with you.
Perfect.
For Monday the 4th at 3 p.m.
That sounds great. Monday, August 4th at 3 p.m.
At 3 p.m. Does that work?
That's perfect. I was hoping to get this
Okay,
call,
perfect.
so it's great.
Oh, I'm glad. Well, I'm going to email the details of the interview over to you.
Perfect.
And you'll have the address of our building, and you'll be meeting with Anita Brown in person, okay?
Beautiful. Thank you very much. I'm very much looking forward to it.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Howard. Have a good day.
Have a nice day too. Thank you. I knew the number, and that's why I took the call. I apologize, but I didn't want to like call her back. So Monday, August 4th, 3 p.m. Ford. This would be great because I do have, oh, that's next Monday. Oh, I thought it was like a week away. Yeah, today's the 29th. Yeah, the 1st is Friday. Oh, so that's next Monday at 3 p.m. Beautiful. And I will wear a suit. I know I was trying to figure out, like, do you still wear suits to interviews? Because I interviewed like this on Teams when I interviewed with my boss. And so when I interviewed, so I kind of asked, she said, no, polo's fine. But going into the office, I'm hearing put on your suit. So I will wear a suit next Monday. Very happy. 3 p.m. Ford. Beautiful. Then I can start getting pay and buy more gold. I mean, I look at it as, oh, good, I can buy more gold. So very excited about that. So again, I have a letter of recommendation. I highly recommend if you work for somebody and you're doing a good job for them and they like you, and then the assignment ends, or if you're working contract here in Detroit, it's a lot of contract because of the auto companies, although this is a permanent job. My advice, if you are friendly with upper management, vice presidents, or finance CIOs, to get a letter of recommendation, because they're going to want references, right? But here I gave them a letter from a VP at Visteon Ford who said Howard's a good worker. And so I can sit there, and because I'm a good worker, because he says it, they have the confidence that, oh, he's a good worker. He worked at Visteon and he got a letter from a VP, and they're not going to just give it away. And so therefore, to get the letter, instead of trying to, I could never find this guy. He retired and moved to Colorado in 2005. It's 20 years ago. He might not even be alive. I hope he is, but how would I reach him? But by having the letter of recommendation, I always have his stamp of approval. And so I'm interviewing with Ford with the stamp of approval, and they're like, here you are, stamp of approval. He's a good worker. So our risk on Howard being a good worker is very low because we have somebody vouching for him. That's what references are supposed to be. But instead of these calls or emails, you're much better off with this. So anyway, I'm very happy. I had a good vibe. I actually thought it would be Thursday when I had the court case, but the court case has been dropped for unemployment. The transfer, they withdrew their issue. So I don't have to call in Thursday. I got my unemployment today. Don't think I don't know what I'm doing because I'm unemployed. I'm just working contract, and they tend to end the contracts because they're all losing money on electric vehicles. So they slice the contract. But so now this is a permanent job with Ford. Looking forward to it. So this is August 4th. I will do my best. This really helps. If you ever have to talk in front of an audience, do this. Do a video, right? This helps me relax and talk. And if now I go in an interview, I'm just like I'm here, right? I just start talking like I'm doing class. And so most people, I do very well in interviews as I get a lot of jobs. But this is basically go buy gold and silver with it. Pay off a little credit cards. And I don't know what to do with that because I don't know when the dollar goes out if we're going to have credit cards. If it goes stable coin, it'll still be dollars. I don't think we'll ever get rid of dollars. I don't see how that will happen. All right, so that was that one. And I never really talked about China and Europe's, selling. We know China sells treasuries. This is something on the Ukraine war where the whole thing's collapsing. He does show a nice little chart where he shows everything, but basically Russia's going all the way to Odessa in the stupidest war I've ever seen. It doesn't make any sense. Zelensky got caught erasing evidence of him stealing money. We don't really need to see the video. We get the gist of it. And Zelensky embezzled billions is the name of the. So if you want to see it,
I emphasize again, it is free to join my community. The stocks I share are also free. The techniques and strategies.
Sell, who's HR.
Zelensky embezzling billions of dollars of Western aid, and his men are destroying the evidence. So we don't really need to watch this, but it's food for. We know he's embezzling. That's what the whole war is about. It's a money-making deal. It makes Madoff look like an amateur. Putin's patience and 700,000 Russian soldiers are joining the war as they go and take it. Egon on gold reserves, we watched
people
yesterday.
that don't understand, because markets are at the top. It's like October 29. Everybody thought that this would go on forever, the US stock market. Of course, it will never stop. And that's what people feel today also. So therefore, we are not seeing any major shift in fear, if you want, of what's going to happen today. But so sadly, it'll be a shock for most people. Whether we like it or not, we are going to have a gold rush. The market is international. So whatever country tries to manipulate gold or hold it down, so they're not going to succeed. The market is bigger than any individual country now. And I don't think that the US has 8,100 ton clear and free gold. Absolutely don't believe that at all.
Recently, Donald Trump gave a 50-day.
See, it's funny how people believe we have the gold. And I don't know. My point is, if you ask me if I have a Mantle card and I go and I pull it and I say, here it is, you understand that. And if you say, do you have a Mantle card, and I never show it to you, you're going to doubt that I actually have it. Well, Howard, if you had it, you'd show us, right? Wouldn't you think that? That's what I would think. And so that's really the key here is, if you really have it, show us the gold. So that's why people doubt that we have it, because they won't show us the gold. So that's really the point of it. So we will see, but that's the key to it is, do you have the gold or not? So why would you believe that the US has gold? Well, I just do. Well, that's not an answer, but so you trust the government that always lies to us. You trust the government that's coming out with stable coins that are just a Ponzi scheme. You trust the government who we walked on the moon, who 9/11 was a gold robbery. That government you trust? Why do you trust the government? I don't trust them. You can't trust a word they say. So you got to be careful with it. Anyway, let's take a quick look at the whole Russian war here by this guy, just for a couple minutes.
Hi, everyone. Judge Andrew Napolitano here for Judging Freedom. Today is Monday, July 28th, 2025.
Today's Tuesday, July 29th.
Here at work again, and it's a delight to be here with my longtime friend and collaborator, Larry Johnson. Larry, a pleasure, my dear friend. Thank you.
Man, you can't believe today. You can't believe
time.
You can't believe the emails I was getting saying, "Where's the judge?
Yeah,
is he okay?"
I did.
Yeah, no, he's fine. He's doing the vacation.
I was approached by a lady in a hotel in Berlin who said, "Judge Napolitano, nice to see you. Please give my regards to Larry Johnson." So, regards from this unnamed fan. Before we get to Ukraine, there are so many other things we have to talk about, not the least of which are the Tulsi Gabbard revelations.
Sure.
And the latest international recognition, I think, of the depravity of the behavior of the Israeli government vis-a-vis Gaza. But let's start with Gabbard. You were, and having advised me, I was, but you were ahead of your time when we revealed back in 2017 that GCHQ was doing, the British domestic spying apparatus was doing dirty work for the CIA so that American fingerprints wouldn't be on it. But we didn't really know, did we, that one of those fingerprints would belong to Barack Obama himself?
Not back then. I mean, again, my source at the time, it wasn't so much being directed by Barack Obama. It really was more from Hillary's side. but Obama was providing support. What Tulsi has revealed is, let's call it, it's phase 3 of Russiagate. Phase 1 was in the initial lead up when they hadn't actually designated a presidential candidate. CIA, FBI were involved with targeting all of the aspiring presidential candidates, except for Hillary. And that started in the summer of 2015. Once Trump was identified as he's the man, the whole operation to tie Trump to Russia and make him sort of the puppet of Putin, at least in the public's mind, that kicked off 1st of May in 2016. And then with Trump's election, and now that he was coming into power, that kicked in phase 3. And that's really where Obama started really exercising his influence, putting his thumb on the scale.
Interesting. The allegations that some of this was criminal, of course, were really grossly exaggerated, but will fall on deaf ears because of the statute of limitations.
Well, I think, number one, it was ill-advised for Tulsi to make any judgment about what kind of legal charges should be brought. That is up to Department of Justice. I think the two most compelling lines of, if you will, judicial attack would be one, a RICO, because you can definitely establish that this was a conspiracy, and it wasn't confined just domestically. It involved the cooperation of the FBI, the CIA, and foreign governments. The other would be an action based upon defrauding the United States government. And that doesn't mean it had to actually cost it money, although it did. But so the perjury stuff, yeah, they lied. And that's been, people do that routinely in Washington and usually get away with it.
Right.
So
right.
no accountability.
Particularly people in those levels of government. Some of the statements under oath may actually be less than 5 years ago, meaning the statute of limitations has not expired. Is there a developing consensus in Israel that the government has gone too far, that the concept of ghettos, the concept of concentration camps, the concept of collective punishments of the known innocent, because they're children and babies, or that the concept of ghettos, the concept of concentration camps, the concept...
I'm trying to get to the Russian thing.
The people don't take responsibility. It delights me that people are starting to see what's going on there.
Yeah, well, he's like the arsonist that sets a house on fire, then waits outside to see if the fire department's going to show up, and then laments the fact that the house is on fire and somebody ought to do something about it. I mean, it is the scale of human suffering that's being inflicted upon the Palestinians is just, we don't have any reference in history really to compare this, because, go back to the Zionists, the Israelis, they justify what they did or are doing because of the attack on October 7th. And okay, let's assume that the Israeli version of that is true, which it is not. But let's just go with the Israeli version. The 1,200 Israelis and foreigners who are Jewish were killed.
Well, I don't know where this Ukraine thing is.
We're claiming, they no longer have 50 days. Russia's got to bring this to an end in 10 to 12 days, or else what?
Right.
You're going to write us.
No, that's what I was going to ask you, or else what? And he did say this 10 to 12 day nonsense this morning, but this afternoon in Scotland.
Yeah.
I guess he means the secondary tariffs, which, does he really think that's going to change Russia's military strategy?
Well, like I said, if he does, he's a fool. And frankly, his actions over the last week or so have proven that he's pretty foolish in every regard. you know, you're going to impose more sanctions on Russia. The Russians said, fine, go for it. It's actually made Russia stronger. People said, oh, but their economy's suffering. You know, their economy right now is growing at 1.4% because they deliberately deflated the economy because they were experiencing high inflation. Well, inflation now has dropped, and just 2 days ago, the central bank in Moscow dropped the interest rate.
Again, as we know, inflation cannot drop. Once you print the money is printed. Where the hell are they talking about the fucking war? I hate when they do that. You're trying to the title is Kharkov Falls. Where is it? It's talking about the Palestinians and Netanyahu and the Israelis. Anyway, I'll have to watch this. It doesn't make sense. I hate when they do the title. That's why I'm careful in my titles. Sometimes I don't talk about everything in my title because I put so much in, I don't recall if I'm supposed to talk about it or not. But that's where we're at. So again, gold and silver are paper. They are bullshit. The prices aren't close to reality. They're not the physical price. And you really have no other options. If you don't get into gold and silver, what are you going to get into? And the dollar is collapsed. It's not worth anything. So take the dollar while you still can and buy your gold and silver. The dollar's worthless. So anything you buy in gold and silver, which goes up to 4,500. Gold will be 5,000. Silver will be 1,000. It's going to go to that price, probably a much higher. Because there's demand, everybody's buying it. All the central banks, and I'm sure a lot of people, especially in Germany and Russia and China and India, the people are buying it, which doesn't get added into the equation. And because if me and you go buy 10 tons of gold, it's not going to affect the price. We don't know what the price is. The price is here and COMEX is here. And this is where I keep talking, because why isn't the price going up if me and you were to buy a ton? Price should go up. Nobody's selling gold. Nobody in the right mind would sell gold. You might sell an ounce. Like I said, you need food, you need clothing or something, or you want to take a trip or a bill. Then you might sell an ounce or two of gold to get money to pay for these things. But otherwise, anybody that has, you got 500 ounces of gold or a ton, which is 32,000 ounces. Well, let's keep it real. Let's keep it like people like us. So we have 100 ounces. We're not 95 of them aren't going anywhere. We might take 5 to go on a trip or pay a bill. They're not going anywhere. So keep that in mind. Anyway, so I guess that's what's happening. Baseball again, the Yankees, Milwaukee, Kansas City, Washington, San Diego under 8.5, and San Diego, Toronto, Pitt, and Detroit. And again, we don't like Detroit. They're not playing well, but we will take them. Now, they could easily lose to Arizona. Casey Mize against somebody in Arizona, but Arizona is not that strong of a team. So Detroit has trouble with good pitchers. Toronto, things like that. So Scanes shut them out. The other Pittsburgh pitchers, all of a sudden, shutting out Detroit. So Detroit's not hitting. So it's hard to bet them, but I'm betting against Arizona, who's in a slump now also. So keep that in mind. Anyway, next Monday, 3 p.m., I'll be at Ford in a nice suit and doing my best to get hired. That's about it. So I've done many interviews, so I know how to interview. Basically, just tell me about this and that, which I've already done on our team's interview, and I'll just go there. So it's good because I did say a lot of positive things there, and you don't know if you talk too much on the interview. But obviously, I talked just right on the interview that she now wants to meet me. And I'm sure a lot of it is the letter of recommendation. So if you get a chance, and you got somebody, VP or director at that level who likes you, who you work for. See, I worked for this guy, so he knew my work. So if you get people that you work for that are high up, get the letter recommendation. You don't want to use them as a reference. That's a little bit. This just sticks out here. I sent them the letter, and they're fine with it. Anyway, so that's what's going on. So very happy. Let's check out the market and gold, and then we will bid a fond farewell till tomorrow. Gold right now is, it's up 33.27, a nice little chunk up. Silver 38.21. Notice silver hit about 3,800 and now back up. And gold got down to 33.11, and notice all the buying that goes on. So these little ups and downs are bullshit. They're derivative options. They are not people buying or selling gold. This price is not close to reality, 33.27, but we'll take it. Again, Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme. Stock market's basically a Ponzi scheme. Stock market down $64. All these tariffs, the dollars aren't worth any. Heavy inflation and that $64. All these countries getting out of the dollar having no value should kill the stock market. So I don't know what's going on here. It's a bunch of bullshit, but we know that. All right, well, that's it then. Have a wonderful day. www.teaserking.com. So I got to prepare for a meeting on Monday, which is a week away, and very happy with that. All right, so have a good day, everybody. www.teaserking.com. Buy your gold and buy your silver, depending on if you have useless dollars, useless euros. Our friend in Pakistan, that's useless money. Our friend Pat in Singapore, well, you buy gold and silver. And the rest of the boys and girls, buy your gold and silver. Understand the price is way low and just go from there. All right, everybody. Have a good day. www.teaserking.com. Football's right around the corner. Again, Thursday is a Hall of Fame game, and then we get preseason. And then it's August 23rd is the first day of college football. 4 games. And then the full week, the next week, college. And then I think it's September 5th, the Philly game. So we're real close. We're right around the corner. So have a good day, everybody. Relax and enjoy. All right. Take care, everybody.